And more on the fight to contain the virus. Joining us now is the founder and president of her own practice, Midtown Atlanta Nephrology, Dr. Frita Fisher, and professor and dean at USF Health College of Pharmacy, Dr. Kevin Sneed. I'd like to welcome you both back to BNC Live. Thank you for joining us. Now, we got to jump right into this interview. A report by the World Obesity Federation found that 88% of deaths due to COVID were in countries where more than half of the population is classified as overweight. That includes the United States. Is obesity contributing to the devastating impact COVID is having on our Black and brown communities? Dr. Sneed, you go first.
Absolutely. I would definitely agree with that. We've known for a long time that people that fall into the obese or overweight category generally will wind up producing some type of vascular inflammatory proteins. And if you become infected with the actual virus, then it tends to rev up those proteins, making that person more at risk for bad outcomes or even death. So I definitely would agree that obesity should be considered a significant risk factor.
And Dr. Fisher, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that patients with obesity also tend to be at risk for diabetes, high blood pressure. Many have asthma, which we know are also comorbidities, which worsen the outcomes with COVID-19. And so it comes as no surprise that obesity has been linked to poor outcomes in COVID-19.
Now, an article by the Washington Post released citing a religious debate over the morality of the vaccines, especially the new J&J shot, because it's made with abortion-derived cells. One bishop calling the vaccine morally compromised and forbidden. Is this factor leading to vaccine hesitancy in certain communities? And if so, how will we achieve herd immunity? Dr. Fisher, we'll start with you.
Well, I'm certainly sad to hear that because there are no fetal products in the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. And so that's certainly a myth that needs to be debunked. But it is frustrating because we look to bishops and faith leaders as people who we were hoping to help us to get communities to get vaccinated, especially underserved communities or communities having challenges with vaccine acceptance. I believe that as long as we keep presenting the facts, the evidence, the science, that people as a rule are quite bright and they can see through a lot of myths. So while for people who are following whichever faith leaders have said this unfortunate myth, it may slow them down as far as them having vaccine acceptance. But the truth of the matter is that there are no fetal products in Johnson & Johnson. It's an excellent vaccine with one shot. After your immunity kicks in, you have a 100% chance of not dying from COVID-19 and not having severe hospitalizations. These vaccinations are the key to ending this pandemic, and that is the truth.
And that is exactly why here at BNC we need to have these conversations to give folks the facts. Dr. Sneed, do you want to add to that?
I think she said it exactly right. We need to get beyond the fact that things that may have happened, 40, 50, even 60 years ago are now affecting us today. There is nothing wrong with the current Johnson & Johnson vaccine. There are no fetal products in there. And to be perfectly honest, we're talking about life-saving vaccine against a variant-rich environment. And we are in a race against time right now. And so to bring up things that really don't have anything to do with the current product, that are not pertinent to what we're trying to accomplish in the way of saving lives and giving people an opportunity to get back to their life, really has no place and purpose at this current time.
So what do you say to people who are listening to the people that they trust and they're receiving this false information? Can you just clear the air right now and let them know what's the deal with these vaccines?
Tajani, I'm glad that you said.
Well, ladies first.
Tajani, thank you for giving us this opportunity. For people who are listening, there's so much confusing information out there on social media and from people who really aren't necessarily fully equipped to give information on vaccinations. I encourage people to listen to doctors they trust, scientists they trust, healthcare providers they trust, because if you follow the evidence, if you follow the science, you will see that these vaccines are safe. And now we have 3 vaccines which have emergency use authorization. All 3 are very protective to keeping us from dying from COVID-19 or from having severe hospitalizations. And so I just encourage people to go out and don't just think about yourself as an individual. Think about your community, your grandma, that person who's frontline at the grocery store. Getting vaccinations save lives, and the more we do it, the closer we can get to herd immunity, and we can stop some of these variants which are on the rise.
Dr. Sneed, I'm going to ask you a different question because we have probably about 45 seconds. So if someone goes to their doctor's office, should they have a preference as to what vaccine they should ask for, or whatever is available to them?
Definitely whatever is available to them at the time that they go in. We have to keep in mind that right now the actual virus does not care about whether or not you're looking for the Johnson & Johnson product, the Pfizer product, or the Moderna product. It will infect any and everybody that it can, and we need to get protection against them right now. So we should not have a preference. Get a needle in the arm and get protected.
Well said. Dr. Sneed, thank you. Dr. Fisher, it was a pleasure seeing you as well. We look forward to welcoming you back to BNC Live. And Dr. Fisher, that's another jacket I love. I'm always watching your leathers. Thank you both. Have a great night, and thank you for your insight. Straight ahead, bipartisan praise for Shalanda Young, President Biden's second OMB nominee. We'll hear from her next. You're watching BNC Live.
DealDash.com, the fair and honest bidding site.